Hello, BookTube, and this is the 10th and final video for this massive book haul I had. Just to recap quickly, there were books that I found somebody was giving away. There were remnants of a huge library that sounds like well over 10,000 volumes of two professors. Husband and wife, he was a professor of history and apparently did archaeology as well, hence there's archaeology and history in here. And she did literary studies and media, hence a lot of film books, which I'm just very happy about. And yeah, they were free. They had to, it was a son-in-law, and they had to sell the house late last year. So I guess around November-ish, October, November, they had to pack up all the books and they put it all into storage. But the storage unit was packed floor to ceiling by sounds of it. Hundreds and hundreds, about 500 boxes of, or more, of just the huge boxes. And there was a few left that they couldn't fit, but they gave that all away as well. I was late. I only saw this at the beginning of January, I think it was, and it took a while to get them because of my little mishap and a hospital visit. And now I'm just getting around to doing these. All I had to do was pay for the shipping. Courier charges, which didn't even amount to 18 pounds, basically is well under 20 pounds for about 175 books. They're all pretty good. Let me just turn this off. That was supposed to be a news breaking thing from BBC News. Police officers something, and then there looks like an explosion or something. I'll have to look at that later. But let me turn the sound off. To do not disturb. Important work happening. So let's go through these. Another film book. It's a bit ratty at the top. Oscar Fever, A History and Politics of the Academy Awards. Well, we saw one by Anthony Holden. I can see it right over there on the pile yesterday. I think it was yesterday, yeah. History of the Academy Awards. This is a little slimmer. And it's a continuum book by Emmanuel Levy, 2001. So it's got about the politics, so that could be an interesting bent to it. The Academy Awards ceremony is the single most anticipated and widely viewed spectacle in the world. Maybe. It has close to 1 billion viewers every year. I used to watch it. During the 80s, I think I used to watch it when I actually went to see some films. And then soon after that, 90s, very few films I went to. In the 2000s, I didn't see any films. The last films I've seen in a cinema was Gosford Park, the last film, when it was out. And that won, actually, a few Oscars. But I've not been to the cinema since, other than silent film festivals. So yeah, and most of the time it's older films I'm interested in. There's not much. There's stuff coming out, I think, smaller films, but the big blockbuster stuff, like this Marvel Universe thing, and that's all they seem to be pushing now, is that type of thing, and I just no interest in it whatsoever. But it's big, so therefore that's being done. So I'm ensconced with my Blu-rays of classic and silent film, and very happy. Oh, another John Romer, well, John and Elizabeth Romer, The Rape of Tutankhamun, however you want to pronounce him. This is Michael Mayer. It's yellowing slightly. 1993. I thought I had this, but I had a quick look on the shelf where I assumed it would have been, and it's not there, so I don't. But I think it still means, because there's one more in here of his, that means that I think I have all the stuff now. Oh, I was going to tell you. Yeah, I did tell you about that. But yeah, let's go a little more deeper. The Rape of Tutankhamun tells of an uncaring international profession that remains aloof from the problems that face the Egyptian tombs and temples. In the chapter entitled Study and Steal, the authors explain the historical origins of the sad situation. The Rape of Tutankhamun also tells of a modern multinational business surrounding Egyptology, which, with barely a word of protest from the specialists, is engaged in exploiting and trading in the relics of the ancient civilization and is disappearing before our eyes. Of the tens of millions earned by ancient Egypt in the West, barely 1% has gone back into the conservation on site. He did a scathing sort of review where there's still sort of excavation, but not. It's excavation, but it's just sort of like, let's just dig it up and then just, forget about it. No conservation of it. And there's so much that are sitting in museums around the world that has never been touched and never been studied properly. And he thinks that some of that should be done before they continue with the, excavations, and only do it when it's, salvage, where it's going to be destroyed. He got a lot of flack from Egyptologists. I remember when that came out too. I was at conferences, Egyptological conferences, and they didn't like him because he sort of, tarnished their profession to a certain extent. But I think in this case, for the better for him. David Roll, though, is another thing. It's another question, because he's got a lot of hatred with Egyptologists and ancient Near Eastern archaeologists as well, but in a different way. But next one is Chaplin's Girl, The Life and Loves of Virginia Sherrill, Miranda Seymour. Virginia Sherrill was in City Lights. She was the blind girl in City Lights. I don't think she was a society woman, and she never acted before, or very little. And Chaplin sort of put her through her paces, and it's one of my favorite silent films of Chaplin for sure. This is Simon & Schuster, 2009. I've not read this one. In 1931, City Lights introduced Charlie Chaplin's new female star to the world. The film, defiantly silent in an age of talkies, was an immediate and international hit. The actress who played the romantic lead had never been on screen or stage before. Chaplin's film turned her into the most famous girl in the world. And like Rhett Butler, the most famous girl in the world, didn't give a damn. Virginia Sherrill was the beautiful daughter of an Illinois rancher who ran away to live through some of Hollywood's wildest years. She was the adoring first wife who broke Cary Grant's heart, and when she left him, who turned down the glorious, eligible Maharaja of Jaipur to befriend his wife and rescue her from Purdah. Virginia Sherrill presided during the 30s over one of England's loveliest houses as the Countess of Jersey. Everybody sought her friendship. All that eluded her was love. And when she found it, she gave up all that she had to marry a handsome and penniless Polish flying ace whose dream was to become a cowboy. So maybe she was, I thought she was a sort of society girl, but I might be thinking of somebody else, but still my breathing. Yeah, here's the other Romer, Ancient Lives. Fabulous, fabulous documentary. And as one person is noted in the comments, that many of Romer's shows are on YouTube. So I think Testament is, and this one is definitely. And it's fabulous. Ancient Lives. It's about Daryl Medina. It's the Ancient Lives, the story of the Pharaoh's tomb makers. And not sure what that is. It's, get rid of that. I thought I had this, and I might have this somewhere, but this is a first printing, I think, 1984. More than 300, well, actually say who's, well, John Romer, Weidenfeld, and Nicholson. More than 3,000 years ago, a village was established at Thebes on the west bank of the Nile, situated amid a barren and arid landscape. It housed the workers who created the tombs of the pharaohs in the Valley of the Kings. It was through death and the ritual of burial that the pharaohs became gods, and their elaborately carved and decorated temples were an essential part of the mystical process. Stonemasons, painters, sculptors, quarrymen, scribes lived with their wives and children in the village and worked closely together in the sacred valley. As well as creating some of the greatest masterworks of ancient art in the royal tombs, they built tombs and chapels for themselves and their families, erected temples for the village gods, and wrote prayers and recorded their thoughts on stone and papyri. The study of these ancient records and years of excavation at Deir el-Medina, as the village was later named, and the Valley of the Kings have enabled John Romer to recreate the villagers' lives in intimate detail. With an inspired imagination, he tells us of their quarrels and rivalries, sickness and health, marriages and deaths, of the effects of food, pillage, and war. We feel their hunger when rations are scarce and celebrate with them on the feast days in times of plenty. John Romer traces the fortunes of the villagers from the great days of Ramses II through the slow decline of the Egyptian Empire, reflected in village life by shortages of food and an increasing number of tomb robberies. Although in contrast to the decline, there was also an extraordinary artistic revival, illustrated with John Romer's own photographs and with drawings by his wife Elizabeth. This book is the first history of the vanished community of tomb makers that has been published. A major television series based on the book has been produced by Central Independent Television for Channel 4. And it is just absolutely fabulous. That's weird. It's got a bit of a warp to the back cover. But no, it's absolutely fabulous. And there's wells that are sort of full of ostraca limestone chips that are written in hieratic Egyptian. And they're sort of letters, like they're saying, oh, Billy Bob, can't come, from his mother. Billy Bob can't come to work today because he was beaten up. He was drunk last night and got beaten up. So he needs a day of rest. That kind of thing. And it just all sorts of stuff. There's little pornography, erotic stories, poetry, everything you can think of. And it's just fabulous literature. Here's another one of those Sutton ones here. It's Pamela Horn again. This one is not as good a shape as the others, but that's fine. The Victorian Edwardian Schoolchild, Pamela Horn. It's got somebody's name in it, so I don't know if it was a review copy. I doubt it. It was probably bought used. 1989 by, as I say, Alan Sutton. Yeah, it's just a history of the Victorian Edwardian school child describes the effects of this bill, the elementary education bill in the House of Commons in 1870, and the effects on the vast majority of English and Welsh children, the offspring of the working and lower middle classes who attended elementary school during that period. So yeah, there's quite a few of these in the series, and they're really nice. So I don't know, I must have about 5 or 6 now, I guess, with this collection. Well, here's another one here. The Victorian Town Child by Pamela Horn. And it's Sutton again. 1997 this time. A 19th century Britain became an increasing urbanized and industrialized let me read that again. As 19th century Britain became increasingly urbanized and industrialized, the number of children living in towns grew rapidly. This book examines the lives they led, the schools they attended, the jobs they performed, and their health and welfare and their leisure pursuits. At the same time, it considers the increasing divisions within urban society, not only between market towns and major manufacturing and trading centers, but spatially within individual towns as rich and poor became more segregated. Often the better off moved to suburbs, and this affected the education and lifestyles of their offsprings. Again, it's another one. So I'm really pleased to get those. This is the second. This might be the newer edition of the Egyptians, the Ancient Peoples and Places, the Thames and Hudson series by Cyril Aldred. I think I've got the old one, the smaller version as well, that's in here. I like the both. I kind of like this version better. But that's just a personal preference. This is originally 61, so I've got that one. And yeah, it was volume 18, I think. Yeah, and this is the revised edition, 1984. So, and enlarged, it says. Ancient Egypt may have been, in the words of the famous epigram, the gift of the Nile, but the character of Egyptian civilization was no less the product of her god incarnate, the pharaoh. It is these twin themes, the overwhelming importance of the annual inundation of the Nile and the rise and fall over 3,000 years of the power of the divine king, that provided the unfulfilling thread, the unifying thread running through the superb written narrative. Chapters setting out the chronology and rediscovery of ancient Egypt from the prelude to the journey down the Nile, where the remote past is made to seem compulsively present, from Nubia and Abu Simbel northwards via Thebes and Memphis, the pyramids and other ancient sites to the cities of the Delta. An analysis of the natural resources leads into what is the core of the book, a panoramic survey of the progress of Egyptian civilization. So there you go. That, I believe, is from King Tut's tomb. gilded and painted wooden statue of King Tut as the god Horus, vanquishing the forces of evil from his tomb in the Valley of the Kings. Yeah, thought it looked familiar. This is a duplicate. As I said, we saw this already. It's The Lion of Hollywood, The Life and Legend of Louis B. Mayer, Scott Iman. And I'll have to compare the two and keep the one in the best condition. And see if I can give away or sell or do something with that one. Or the other one. Alec Guinness, The Unknown, A Life, by Gary O'Connor. Fabulous actor. Fabulous actor. Okay. Look, somebody's business card in here. It's got a name written in here. It is Cedric and Jackson. What's the year? 2002. Sadly, pictures are sticking together. Yeah, he did so many fabulous for Ealing Films and so forth. And we won't mention his 1970s appearance on a certain film. Alec Guinness was born in 1914 and died in 2000. Appeared in 77 films and 55 plays in an outstanding career that spanned the century. He won acclaim for commanding stage roles like the Cardinal in The Prisoner, for film roles such as the Gascoigne family in Kind Hearts and Coronet, Professor Marcus in The Lady Killers, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Wow. So this should be pretty good. His sort of memoirs, diaries, are fabulous as well. It's like, I'm pretty sure, it's him, and it's like, he puts out and he goes, this is positively my last appearance. And that was his last book. What a horrible cover. Interesting subject, though. It's film again. Shakespeare in the Movies. From the Silent Era to Shakespeare in Love by Douglas Brody. Just a horrid cover. It is Oxford. 2000. It's pretty tight, so I don't think it's been read. Shakespeare is now enjoying perhaps his most glorious, certainly his most popular cinematic incarnation. Indeed, the bard has been splashed across the big screen in great effect in recent adaptations of Hamlet, Henry IV, Othello, Twelfth Night, Romeo and Juliet, and Much Ado About Nothing, Richard III, and of course, the hugely successful Shakespeare in Love. The earlier stuff, looks like it's already up to like halfway through, up to 1970. But there's lots of earlier stuff, silent stuff. I think I've got a Blu-ray, or I used to have a DVD of silent Shakespeare, so that'll be interesting to view when I'm watching it. Okay. Young Arson. The Years of Luck and Genius on the Path to Citizen Kane by Patrick McGilligan. A biographer I really like. He's done a lot of stuff, Fritz Lang, and a lot of other things. This is a pretty big bio here. Simon Callow, the actor and stage sort of, I guess you could say, semi Dickens scholar. He's written a lot of stuff about Dickens, and he plays Dickens a lot. I don't know if it's finished, but I've got the first 2 volumes of his biography of Orson Welles, and it's 4 volumes in total. It's going to be, or is, and I got the first 2 signed in Oxford Literary Festival a number of years ago. The others, I don't think were out by then, or I wasn't aware of them, and the problem is I think mine are different editions, but oh well. I will have to pick those up at some point. But this is it is Harper, an imprint of HarperCollins, published 2015. He's written a lot of stuff. Cagney, the actor as auteur, Robert Altman, George Cukor, which I do definitely want to get. I wouldn't mind the Altman and the Cagney as well. I got the Fritz Lang. He did one in Clint Eastwood. Alfred Hitchcock. I think I've got it. I think it's right there, behind me. Yeah, you can't see it there. Oscar Michaud, a black silent film actor. That would be nice to get. Nicholas Ray. Oh, and he's done a series of these backstory interviews with screenwriters, which the first one, or the first 2 I'd like to get. He's done 5 of them so far. But anyway, let's go back to this book here. An American artist or entertainer. Nope. No American artist or entertainer has enjoyed a more dramatic rise than Orson Welles. At the age of 17, he charmed his way into a precocious acting debut in Dublin's Gate Theatre. By 19, he had published a book on Shakespeare and toured the United States. At 20, he directed landmark all-black production of Macbeth in Harlem, and the following year masterminded the legendary WPA production of Mark Blizentine's agitprop musical, The Cradle Will Rock. After founding the Mercury Theatre, he mounted a radio production of The War of the Worlds that made headlines internationally. Then at 24, Welles signed a Hollywood contract, granting him unprecedented freedom as a writer, director, producer, and star, paving the way for the creation of Citizen Kane, considered by many to be the greatest film in history. I debate that. It's fabulous, but it's clearly he knew European film, silent film, and he just, as all the great ones did, they studied them and borrowed from them. Nice pictorial end papers. His version of Macbeth is just fabulous. It's stunningly beautiful. It's hard to describe. It's amazing. The shadows, the lighting, just the whole set pieces are just amazing. I haven't seen his Othello. I've got it here on Blu-ray. Another one that's fabulous is Chimes After Midnight, or called Falstaff, Chimes After Midnight. That is amazing as well. But yeah, this is, I'm not sure how far this goes up to. It just goes, I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, so that'll be great, because I like Patrick McGilligan. Another bio of Orson Welles is fine by me. This looks like another series as well. Poverty and Workhouse, and the Workhouse in Victorian Britain. Peter Wood. It's got one of those cheap Mylar covers, but It's one of those that will shrink, and it's not very good because they're not acid free. It's another Sutton. I don't think it's a part of a series. By Peter Wood. It's Sutton. What year? 1991. The workhouse should be a place of hardship, of coarse fare, of degradation and humility. It should be administered with strictness, with severity. It should be as repulsive as is consistent with humanity. And these are quotation mark quote from some. The new poor law, yeah, I guess it's from the new poor law, and in particular its workhouses, has been portrayed at one extreme as one of the worst examples of Victorian social control, and at the other as laying the foundation of our modern welfare state. The book examines the role of the workhouses in the context of contemporary values and convictions, the Victorian concept of respectability, and the associated belief in the virtues of thrift and self-help gave rise to the prevailing ethics which allowed the poor to be divided into deserving and undeserving groups. The relief of distress by both state and voluntary agencies reflected the widely held belief that the poverty of those considered to be able-bodied was self-inflicted, and only those groups, such as the children and the sick, were deserving cases. So this looks pretty good. It's slim, but I think I've got a few other books on workhouses, so that'll sort of go nicely with it. We're winding down here. We saw another book. It's been published by the same. It's almost a companion to this, The Manor Houses of England, by P.H. Ditchfield, illustrated by Sidney R. Jones. It's Bracken Books, which is a reprint company. 1985. It's definitely been in the sun, as you can see the spine there. It's taking as their definition of manor house the style of dwelling that ranked between the mansion and the farm or cottage. P.H. Ditchfield and his superb and sensitive illustrator Sidney Jones roam the length and breadth of the country, frequently off the beaten track, away from the off-trodden road, and discover some of the hidden architectural splendor of England. An England which is remarkable for the number and beauty of the old country houses set amid pleasant scenes, hidden away from the gaze of the multitude in sequestered villages and obscure hamlets. So there's some nice pen drawings in there. So some nice ones. So that'll be nice. Oh, another one of these ancient peoples. No, maybe not. It's not a Thames and Huts. Oh, it is. But it's Guild Publishing. That's odd. It's an ancient peoples and places. It's Peoples of the Wetlands, Bog Bodies, and Lake Dwellers by Byron and John Coles. And it says Guild Publishing, so that's a reprint. In 1989. That's odd. I've actually not seen these in any other publications. I don't know if that is it the U.S. imprint. Well, it's printed and bound in Democratic German GDR, German Democratic Republic. So I don't know. I think it's just a cheaper edition. Still looks like it's fairly well made, but anyway, it's Bog People of the Wetlands, Bog People. The world's wetlands are unique environments, from inland bogs and lakes to coastal marshes. They are rich, not just wildlife, but excuse me, but human life and history as well. For thousands of years, the wetlands, through their extraordinary preservative qualities, have kept intact ancient remains that would have perished on dry land, such as the bodies of unwary travelers trapped in the bog, or prehistoric trackways in whole villages. But now these landscapes are under serious threat from drainage and peat cutting. This timely book is the first to describe the general reader the extraordinary archaeological wealth of the wetlands worldwide, and just how much we stand to lose if this heritage is destroyed. So there's, on the cover, there's a head of a bog body. All sorts of stuff, yeah. They got. It's well illustrated, as usual with these. Yeah, so no, I'm just slightly confused because I've never seen Guild publishing of those. Oh, and here's another one. This is the last book of the book haul. This is The Catacombs, Rediscovered Monuments of Early Christianity by J. Stevenson. Now, this is Thames and Hudson. So, Thames and Hudson, 1978. Most histories of the early church tell us little about catacombs. Yet these burial places in the vicinity of Rome and in many other sites have preserved an invaluable record of the ideas and aspirations of the Christians in inscriptions, reliefs, and paintings. A religion is thus revealed that is far more direct and simple than the religion of literary and theological works, which had their source largely in doctrinal controversy. The cutting of tombs into rock was common practice over thousands of years in many Mediterranean lands. It is, however, only the Christians and the Jews who have left so large a number of funeral monuments of outstanding historical, religious, and artistic significance. In this richly illustrated book, the author discusses the principal features of the catacombs, and in particular interprets their abundant decoration in the light of scriptures. So there's another one. So this ends my book haul. Yeah, they're even the same size. So yeah, oh well. I'll have to research that a little bit. Coming up to 40 minutes, but yeah, this is the end of the book haul. I'm not sure what I will continue with. I am working my way through. As I say, I'm trying to read some fiction. Or I've said that I think a few times. If not, I'll reiterate. And just sort of try to get my brain back into reading, because I can read the words, but I sometimes don't know what I've read from one sentence to the other. Fiction's a little easier. I'm working my way through right now The Ministry of Fear by Graham Greene, and I've got the film as well that I'm gonna watch after I read the book. So this might be what I will discuss in sort of in the near future, future videos, because I'm not sure what else to do at the moment. I've exhausted books, and I won't be getting that many more books for some time. Occasionally, I'll get a book here or there, but yeah. So once I'm finished that, I've still got about 80 pages to go on this, so it'll take me a while to get through that, even though it shouldn't. But anyway, thank you for watching. So this is number 10 finished of the book haul. And I thank everybody for their comments, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And do make any comments of anything that you've read or interested in, because some of this stuff I have not. I'm aware of most of them, but there's some that that are totally new to me, these books. So it's nice to have maybe some other insight into it. So enjoy the rest of the weekend. Or well, no, this will be going up on Monday, so the weekend will be over. But anyway, I hope you enjoy your week. Take care, BookTube.